In today's lecture we are going to take two vocabulary experiments which are widely used in psycholinguistics in order to analyze vocabulary processing. So these two experiments are lexical decision experiment and priming experiment. The first one, which is lexical decision experiment, here's how it looks. So here we have a person sitting in front of a computer. He is having on the screen a word which appears to be not an English word. If you can read the word Almoaily or something like that, it is not an English word. So the informant, or the one taking the experiment, is asked to decide whether the word is a real word or not. So in detail, so this is how it looks like. In detail, a lexical decision experiment is conducted by asking a native speaker. This is one important thing. In lexical decision experiments, we always have native speakers. So most of the time, I will not say always because it might be not right to have this generalization, but most of the time, lexical decision experiments are done on native speakers. So they are asked to sit in front of a computer screen where he or she is asked to judge as quickly as possible whether the word that appears on the screen is a real word or not. So the trick is, first, they have to do it as quickly as possible. Sometimes the word appears and disappears quickly, so they have to decide in a very short time whether the word is a real word or not a real word. So, or not a real word. So if the word is real, the participant clicks yes. So after first they have the stimulus, which is the word. The word is known as the stimulus. So the first thing which appears which appears on the screen is the stimulus, is the word. For example, here we have the word ukulele. So the person who is sitting in front of the screen is asked to judge as quickly as possible whether this word is an English word or not. Okay? So this is known as lexical decision experiment. If the word is an English word, the respondent clicks yes. So after this this word disappears, in a very short time, the respondent has to decide whether this word is an English word or not. Okay? So how does he decide? He decides by clicking either yes or no. So what is the purpose? Why do we have such experiments? How are these experiments linked to our course, which is psycholinguistics? What is the purpose of lexical decision experiments? First, we are looking, so in this task, we are looking at two things, and you have to remember this well. The first thing we are looking for is response latency. What this means is the time it takes the informant to click either yes or no. So this is about the time. So the first thing we are checking as psycholinguists is the time. How much time does it take the informant to click either yes or no? So this is called response latency. The second thing is response accuracy. How accurate is the response? Because not always the respondents will choose the right answer. Sometimes they choose the wrong one. So response accuracy is whether or not the participant has responded accurately. So in this experiment we are looking at two things. The first thing is response latency, which means how much time does it take to complete the exercise, or to complete, or to answer, or to decide on a word whether it's an English word or not. The second thing is how accurate is the respondent's answer. Okay? When designing this task, the participants are usually tested on one set of stimuli against another set of stimuli. So what is the meaning of stimuli? What do we mean by stimuli? We mean the word itself. So in the screen here, the word ukulele is a stimulus. The plural for the word stimulus is stimuli. Okay? So here we have a stimulus, ukulele. So this is a stimulus. Alright? This is what we mean by stimulus. Okay? So when designing this task, the participants are usually tested on one set of stimuli against another set of stimuli. For example, they might be asked to do first nouns, then after they finish nouns they do verbs. Or they might do first concrete words, then they do abstract words. Okay, so these are two different kinds of stimuli. So we do this in order to compare how do the informants do in retrieving or deciding on each set of vocabulary items or each set of stimuli. So this test measures the speed, and as I said earlier, this test measures the speed and accuracy in which the mental lexicon is accessed. Alright? So you have a mental lexicon. We have words inside your brain. So in your brain you have words which you have stored. You have hundreds of, perhaps hundreds of thousands of words, or perhaps tens of thousands of words which are stored inside your brain. So how fast and accurate are you able to recall or to bring or to decide on these words? How fast can you recall these words? Okay? And here we have some interesting findings resulting from these experiments, resulting from the lexical decision experiments. It has been found that it usually takes the participant about half a second to press yes for words they know or frequently used words. However, it takes 3/4 of a second to press yes for less common words. This is known as the frequency effect. What do we mean by the frequency effect? We mean that words which you know, words which are frequently used, are accessed quicker than words which you don't know. For example, let's say that the word book is a common word in English. The word book is a common word. The word, for example, castle is not a common word. Okay? So you are able to access the word book quicker than you do when you try to access the word castle, because the word book is used more frequently than the word castle, and so on. So the words which are more frequently used are accessed quickly, and the words which are not frequently used are accessed in a bit slower fashion. But still, they are accessed quickly. So the difference is 1/4 of a second. It's a minor difference, yet the words which are frequently used, by just conducting this kind of experiments, we are able to tell that our mind, or our minds as groups of people, our minds access words differently. So the words which you know, the words which you frequently use, are accessed more quickly than the words which you do not use frequently. I hope this is clear. If not, I'm going to say it again, just in case you did not get it, because sometimes it is a bit difficult to grasp such information. So by conducting a lexical experiment, we are looking at the respondent's latency, which is the time, and respondent's accuracy. In the end, what are we looking for? What information can we get? One interesting information we got by conducting such an experiment, which is lexical decision, is that the words which you frequently use are accessed, are easy to recall from the brain. So your brain records words, your brain stores words, it has words which are saved in your brain, and as you are speaking, you are recalling, you are taking words from your brain, bring them together, put them in one sentence and speak. Okay, so as you are speaking, you are not recalling the words in a similar fashion. There are words which are easier to remember, and there are words which are not easy to remember, or a bit it takes time to remember. Okay, so what is the difference? The difference is the words which you use frequently are a bit easier to remember. The words which you do not use frequently are a bit more difficult to remember, because it takes a bit more time to remember the words which you do not use frequently. Okay, so as we have here on the screen, we can infer, what we can infer from this is that our mental lexicons are probably organized in a way that words we use often are more easy to access. Okay, so by just looking at the findings of lexical decision experiments, we can tell that our mind, that our brain stores words which are frequently used in order to make them easy to access. Okay, now let's look at the second kind of experiments, which is priming. Priming is a bit similar to lexical decision. It's a bit similar to what we have had earlier, which is lexical decision. In fact, it is one kind of lexical decision, but with one slight addition. The slight addition is that just before you read the stimulus, for example, just before you read the word ukulele, there is a prime before it. There is a related word. There's a related word to the word which you have to decide on. For example, before you are given the stimulus, which is the word pigeon in Arabic, and the pigeon is known as hamama. So before the respondent taking the experiment has to decide on the word pigeon, first he is given a prime. The prime is bird. So the pigeon is one kind of bird. So he is first given a stimulus. He is given a prime, which is, for example, bird. Then the stimulus, which is, for example, pigeon. Then the respondent has to decide whether the word pigeon is an English word or not. So let's read what we have here. Priming can be considered as an extension of lexical decision task. However, in this task, before the participant is asked to choose yes or no, the target word is preceded. There's a word which comes before it. Is preceded by another stimulus called the prime. So in the example we have at the bottom, the prime is bird. The stimulus is pigeon. Okay? So the stimulus is preceded by another related word, which is called prime. Then what is measured is the extent the prime influences the participant's lexical decision on the target stimuli. So how does the prime influence your decision on the stimulus? For example, here we have bird and pigeon. How can the prime, which is bird, help us in deciding whether the word pigeon is an English word or not? So this is what we are looking for in the priming experiment. Okay? It has been found that when the target is preceded by a related word, which is the prime, the response is usually quicker. So it is easy for us to remember or to recall words when we hear a related word right before it. Okay? So for example, as you hear the word fish, okay, as you hear the word fish, it will be easier for you to decide whether the word salmon is whether the word salmon, which you have here at the bottom right, whether the word salmon is an English word or not. It would be easier for you to decide, for example, whether the word shark is an English word or not if you have the prime before it, which is the word fish. Okay? So this tells us how does the brain, or how does the mind recalls words. How? Because if you remember, or if you are given the word shark, okay, then you are given the word fish, it would be easier, it would be quicker for you to decide whether the word fish and shark are related, or whether the word fish is an English word or not. So by this fact, or by this finding, which is it is easier for us to tell whether the word is an English word or not if it is preceded by a prime. This finding tells us that our brain stores words as grouped entities. So inside our brain, the words fish, shark, salmon are related. They are both fish. In our brain, the word, for example, bird, penguin, and canary are somehow related to each other. They are somehow grouped, so that once you recall, for example, the word canary, it would be easy for you to recall the word penguin. Okay? So, for example, if I asked you to recall as quickly as possible 5 kinds of birds, and I've given you one bird, it would be easier for you to tell, or to complete the exercise. The rest of the 5 kinds of birds. Why? Because you had a stimulus, which is the first bird. Then it would be easy for you to recall other kinds of birds. This has been scientifically proven by priming experiments, that when we recall one word, it would be easier for us to recall other related words. Okay, so this is how our brain recognizes words. We did not do an open skull surgery. We did not look at someone's head. We did not look at how big is someone's head before we are able to tell this fact, which is words are grouped inside the brain. How could we tell this? It is just by observing the linguistic behavior, by just asking respondents to complete such an exercise. So even if we opened someone's skull and looked at his brain, we are not going to be able to tell how does he combine words together, because this is a hidden process. In order to tell how our brain groups words, we have no option but to observe the linguistic behavior, which is, for example, by conducting a priming experience, by conducting a lexical decision task. By just completing the task, then by comparing the respondents' answers, we are able to tell some interesting facts about how does the brain stores words. Okay? So let's have the exercise for today's lecture, which is going to sum up the lecture number 4. Response latency is, so here we have a question or an item which we need to decide on. Response latency, what does it mean? Does it mean the time it takes the respondent to complete a lexical decision task? Does it mean the accuracy of the respondent's answers? Or does it mean deciding that the stimulus is an English word or not? Or does it mean deciding that the stimulus is not an English word. Okay? So I will give you some time to read the available choices and to decide. Then I'm going to give you the answer. Alright, I will give you just 20 minutes. Read the available choices. Take some time, read the available choices, A, B, C, and D. Then try to choose the best one. Try to choose the best one according to what we have heard in the lecture. Okay? If you chose the first item, which is the time it takes the respondent to complete a lexical decision task, your response is right, your response is accurate, because if you look at a slide, or if you look at this slide, we will see that response latency is the time it takes the participant to respond either yes or no. Okay? So in the exercise, response latency is the time it takes the respondent to complete a lexical decision task. Okay? If you answered B, your answer is wrong, because this is response accuracy, not response latency. If you chose C, your response is wrong, because deciding that the stimulus is an English word is one part of the lexical decision. And of course the same with D. Deciding that the stimulus is not an English word, it is what you are asked to do in a lexical decision task. So if you could answer this exercise correctly, this means that you have understood at least one element of today's lecture, but of course there are other elements to study as well. So that's the end of the fourth lecture. I hope it was an easy lecture to understand and to grasp. Alright, thanks very much for listening, and I'm willing to have you in the fifth lecture. Alright, good luck.